Professor. We are from the team ScrumDevils and we are working on GitHub Analyzer and our application name being Fidget. In Sprint 1, we have delivered prototypes for our project and we made pages using HTML and CSS to get the overview and design ready for our GitHub Analyzer project. In Sprint 2, we have covered different aspects of our application and covered many tasks, including we transformed all our HTML pages to React components. We chose React because React is really scalable and dynamic. We also hosted our application on cloud services using AWS. We chose AWS because it provides a lot of features than other clouding services, as well as IaaS, which is infrastructure over as a service, and software as a service. We also worked on our backend in Django to provide all the necessary information required by React on the front end for our application to work. This was mainly for visual representation. We have created our user stories and tasks as per the discussion during our sprint planning.
Hello, this is Bharat. So in this sprint, I have two major tasks. One was to set up React with Webpack and Beaver transpiler, as you can see here. And the other one was to create a React component in using CodePen. So everyone in the front end team can understand how to create a React component, and then we can integrate it with the rest. So I made one headline component for that on codepen.io. Well, from my first task, you can see over here that this is my uh, server running for React.js, and you can see that this is the React coming. So this is the default state when the React is set up and nothing has been changed. So this is the React is in the default state right now. After this, as my second task, I created this header using JS. So you can see over here that I've created a React header, and as in the settings you can see that I've used React over here, React and React DOM to create this. So you can see this JS written using JSX and all the rendering done. So if we do render ScrumDevils come over here. If we render Scrum Masters come over here. So you can see the component changes with the value passed into the render, and if there is a component which is shown through the HTML and CSS. So this was basically my two major tasks in this sprint. Thank you.
User story 59 is dashboard transformation to React. One of the tasks under this user story is profile UI component. This is the task about creating component for displaying logged in users information like a user's image and email ID. Here is the output. We are launching this on localhost. I have created this component in React, and it is taking JSON data from the backend and showing it in the component. Here is the component. Another task under user story 59, dashboard transformation to React, is configure the flashcards with the project data from GitHub repository. This is the task about creating React components to show flashcards based on the project details stored in the database. Here is the output. We are launching this on localhost, and it is taking JSON data and displaying on the flashcards. These are the three flashcards about commit info, percentage of code changes, and pull requests. Another task under user story 59, dashboard transformation to React, is make the flashcard component toggle button in React. This is the task about making flashcards component able to toggle so that user can manipulate another component by clicking it. Here is the output. We are launching this on localhost, and I have created this in React, and I have made this flashcards as toggle button. So if I click on this, I'll get the message where hi, I am a chart is another component, and by clicking the flashcard component, I'm calling that component, showing and hiding. Same for this and same for this. I have made states and handling states in this task.
Creating dashboard UI using React components, I have redefined the skeleton of the dashboard page, which was earlier developed using Bootstrap and CSS using React technology. So I have created a main component that acts as a base component for the other components, and the placeholders of the other components are placed in the base component. Let me give you a demo of that. As you can see that the skeleton has been rendered with 6 components. The topmost component is the header component. On the left there are 2 components. The top one consists of the details of the current logged in user. Just below that are the list of the projects added by the user. Once the project is selected from this component, the corresponding members of that project or team members will be rendered in the contributor component. The center component is the chart area where the data visualization will appear. Just below the chart area, there are flashcards which will contain the parameters over which the data is displayed on the chart, and the parameters could be the commit history, the number of branches, and the number of pull requests generated, etc. Task 80. I have redesigned the graph component in React to display the analysis of the selected project in the chart area component. As per the acceptance criteria, the chart should be able to display the details of the selected project by taking the data from the backend. The data is in the form of JSON object, and a single chart should be able to render the data based on different parameters like the commit history, the number of branches created, the pull request generated, etc. Let me give you a demo of that. As you can see that the pie chart has been rendered on the root element of the document. Currently I am using a dummy JSON object that captures the commit history of each team within a sprint. On hovering to each sector, you can see that it will display me the number of commits along with the commit percentage. Task 81. Creating contributors UI component to list down the members of the project being selected. As per the acceptance criteria, the component should depict the information of the team members of the selected project. So if the project from the project component changes, the corresponding list on the contributor component should also change. Here I have used a display card component. The display card component will just display the email ID and the image of the team, and reusing that component I have generated the contributor component. All the data for the contributor component comes in the form of JSON object from the backend. Let me give you a demo based on a dummy JSON object. As you can see that the contributor component has been rendered on the root element of the document, displaying the image and the email IDs of the team members.
In this sprint, we have taken a task to hold the commit data in Django. So for that, we have created a model in the Django by which it will be compatible with the database structure, and we also have created one REST API which will be called from React, so that the data like contributor who committed, date of the commit, commit message, number of addition and deletion, and files modify, everything will be present. And if when React calls this API, it will be given to the React, and then it will be visible through different charts to the user. And this is a table which we will have for commit data. So now if I go to Postman and request for the repository 1, which is selected by the user from the dashboard, it will give this error, this messages in JSON format. So the committer name and commit message will be given in JSON format to the React, which will be visible to the user. And also we have done logout functionality in Django, and here we have directly used the API which is given by Django, and it takes care of the all the required functionality, like when user hits sign out button, all the session data should be uh, destroy. So this part is already taken care by the logout view function provided by Django. Then I have taken one more task to create the uh, pie chart for uh, React in to show it in React, and I have used D3 JS over here. So what it does is it takes a username and the commit number of commits done by the user, and it keeps it as a in a JSON format, and it will visible uh, in a pie chart. So if I go over here, so this is a data we have taken it. So now if I put my cursor over here, I can see that this person has done number of commit is 8. So this is done for my part in this sprint.
So this is a user story and all the tasks related to dashboard are given here. I was working on this task to create REST API to get list of users in GitHub repository. So in this, um, when the user is in the dashboard page, he or she will be able to see a list of GitHub repositories. And when the user selects one of the repositories, he should be able to see all the contributors in that GitHub repository. So we have designed this table, and this table stores all the repository link according to the user. So this user can see these two links, and this user can see these two list of repositories. So if the user is in the dashboard page and it selects one of the repository whose ID is 8 over here, so it should send a get request and it should give me all the contributors for the repository which has 8 as the ID. So these are my contributors, Palak, Yuti and Bharat, and 8 was the repository ID. So as you can see in this table, 8 is the ID and this is the repository, Sarthak Tiwari ScrumDevils SCR. And in this repository, as you can see, these three are the collaborators, Palak, Yuti and Bharat. So this is how this API is working. So we are at user story 63 and this is for user authentication and session creation. This user story was created to support the sign up and sign in functionalities. I was given this task to create authenticated user and this was to support sign up functionality. For this we are using auth user. It is a predefined model of Django. So we have this as the database and auth user is a predefined table of Django, and this is the data which we already have. And so our next requirement was the password should be write only and the password should be encrypted. So as you can see in this table, my password is encrypted, so we cannot read it later. And the other criteria was that the email and username should be valid, and if the credentials are there, it would throw an error. So let's, as you can see in the database, this username Sarthak Tiwari is already there. So let's see what happens if I send this request. So as you can see, I got this as the response. A user with that username already exists, so it throws an error. Now uh, let's give another username. So I have to create a user for the sign up functionality. I'm giving a post request with this link, and this is the JSON which the sign up functionality would generate and would send. So I've sent the data and this is the response I've got. So let's see if the database has this data. So as you can see, in this auth user table, I got a new username and this password is encrypted. So this task meets all the acceptance criteria. Task was to implement authentication and user login. So while login, I need to make sure that an authenticated user signs in. So these are my acceptance criteria, and this is the table for auth user. So if I'm giving this username and this email and the password, I need to make sure that it exists. So this is my post request and this is my link. This is my email and password. So if I'm logging in and the login functionality at the front end will send this JSON data and the response should be this. So this is the email and this token has been generated. So this token makes sure that an authenticated user has logged in.
In this sprint, we have taken a task to host our service in the cloud, and we have done a feasibility study of various platforms which are already given to us, and among them we selected AWS to host our service. And to do that hosting, we have taken task, like, and also we have to create the database tables on the cloud, and we need to install Django and required npms for that. And also from the front end side, as we are using React, we also need to install those things. And we also have to integrate our service so that it will work seamlessly. So we are successfully able to host our service on the cloud. And like, if I go to Postman, and these are the few URLs which we can get it from AWS service only. So this is not localhost, this is the AWS service which we are going to on this IP where we have hosted our service, and this is the port number. And then if I call this, and if I make a get request, so that means it will show that the already present data in in the AWS server. And if I try to push some data over there, and if I do something like this, then it will tell me that application username, GitHub repository, and cache status is required. So these fields will be filled by the user, and it will React will send this to in this format. It will send it to AWS, and the data will be stored in the database.
Those were the tasks which we achieved in our sprint 2. We tried our best to complete our tasks and test them within the given deadline, but the tasks were completed at the very end moment, and hence we got into a little bit of rush, as you can see from our burn down chart. So for the next sprint, we will make sure that we complete all the tasks much before the deadline, so that we are able to invest more time in testing our application and the application becomes much better. Thank you so much.